The miracles and teachings of Jesus. As Jesus continued his ministry, he performed numerous miracles that not only showcased his divine power, but also served as profound lessons of faith and compassion. One of the most memorable miracles was the calming of the storm. While traveling by boat with his disciples across the Sea of Galilee, a fierce storm arose. The disciples, terrified, woke Jesus, who was asleep. With a simple command, "Peace, be still," he calmed the wind and the waves. This miracle illustrated Jesus' authority over nature and reassured his followers that faith in him could conquer any fear. Another significant miracle was the raising of Lazarus. Lazarus, a dear friend of Jesus, had died and been in the tomb for 4 days by the time Jesus arrived. In front of a mourning crowd, Jesus prayed and then called out, "Lazarus, come forth." Miraculously, Lazarus emerged from the tomb, alive and well. This powerful act not only demonstrated Jesus' power over death, but also foreshadowed his own resurrection, offering a profound message of hope and the promise of eternal life. Jesus also taught important lessons through parables, which were simple stories with deep spiritual meanings. The parable of the prodigal son is one such story. It tells of a young man who demands his inheritance from his father and then squanders it in reckless living. When he finds himself destitute, he decides to return home, expecting his father's wrath. This parable illustrates God's boundless mercy and forgiveness, emphasizing that no matter how far one strays, they can always return to God. Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, delivered on a hillside to a large crowd, encapsulated many of his core teachings. He spoke of the Beatitudes, blessings for the meek, the merciful, the pure in heart, and others who live righteously. He taught about loving one's enemies, the importance of prayer, and the golden rule, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." These teachings provided a radical redefinition of righteousness and love, challenging people to live in a way that reflected God's kingdom on earth. One of the most poignant moments of Jesus' ministry occurred during his last meal with his disciples, known as the Last Supper. Knowing that his time was near, Jesus shared bread and wine with his disciples, symbolizing his body and blood, and instituted what would become the sacrament of communion. He washed the feet of his disciples, an act of humility and service, teaching them that true leadership is found in serving others. As Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, he faced immense anguish about the suffering he was about to endure. Despite his sorrow, he submitted to God's will, saying, "Not my will, but yours be done." His arrest followed shortly after, and he was subjected to a series of unjust trials. Throughout his suffering, Jesus remained composed and forgiving, offering grace even to those who condemned him.